We are live. We are here with Keenan from True Temper in his rope hat, looking like something straight off Gilligan's Island here.
It's a one of one. It's a proto still at this point.
You realized after making it that there's no possible way we could sell these, so let's run with it. It's quarantine life. It looks like he's drinking not a beer. We're making fun of that because we have a friend who we believe is probably day drinking around 1 o'clock today. We're going to take everybody's.
He seems to always be stressing that it's airport rules. And I've heard him say that at least 15 times. So I think he's just trying to convince himself of that.
We're going to start getting into shafts here in a second. We're going to take all your questions before that. Those that are following along are going to get a sneak peek of something we're launching later today. That is this t-shirt. We know that places like St. Jude, the place we support, is tight on donations this year. Portions of the proceeds are going to go to St. Jude, just like our Albatross Club does. And pretty cool shirt here. We'll have details on that up on the forum and social media coming later today. Just something fun to say you survived quarantine life. And we have a ton of things coming in. Everybody's saying good morning. Most people saying your hat is interesting. No, nobody's saying that. A second ago, if you saw the view, Keenan was showing off his, as he called it, album collection, which is really CDs, and his 1999 Tiger Woods video game. Careful, they're going to see you don't have pants on. That would be weird.
Oh, I know. There we go.
CD-ROM classic. So it's like a flashback to 99, not
it's a
from
classic.
He's got the shirt on. Can you tell everybody about the shirt?
Yeah, so if you can kind of see it there, it's a Dogleg, which is a brewing company up in Carlsbad. So we partnered with Dogleg. They probably opened a few months ago now. And they have a really cool concept, obviously, of being a brewery, but also a kind of a golf-themed brewery. So being in Carlsbad with all the OEMs up there, and then they have simulators all around. So it's kind of a hangout spot if you want to go, get a craft brew and just mess around with your friends and hit some clubs on the simulator. You can go do that. We help sponsor them. We do limited edition growlers with them. We kind of have a couple beers named after us. We have Dynamic Gold ale there.
You could tell I'm about to make him laugh.
At certain times. I know. I see what's all coming up right now. And yes, it's just a cool spot up in Carlsbad that we've been fortunate enough to partner with and have a good relationship with.
Before we get started, the question that's going to come up 900 times in this is, what's in the bag for you right now?
So in the bag,
do me a favor and include shafts, since we're talking shafts today.
See, I was going to only go shafts. I can go club heads too, though. So shaft wise, I have hazardous smoke green in the driver 6.5 TX. So I have the Hulk in the driver. Had to get the flex in there too. And then hazardous black 85 6.5 in my 3-wood. So I've enjoyed that one for a while. I have hazardous black 105 in the driving iron and Dynamic Gold X100 in the irons and S400 in the wedges.
Nice.
And then
still playing the same irons?
Still the same irons as you saw me last time.
Okay.
I do have my little set of eye blades that I took with me, and I have played those a couple times. So I'm kind of alternating right now, but I still like my Mizunos I've been playing.
When you talk about shaft companies, and I'll say True Temper, but what I really mean is True Sports, which is a large umbrella over a lot of different things. But since we're a golf forum and we're going to talk golf, can you kind of give everybody a rundown on the different brands that may not be following along, that don't know how many brands you guys represent and work with?
Yeah, so kind of over the past year or so, we've added to our kind of umbrella, as you said. So we've always, had True Temper, then we acquired kind of Graflow and Project X around the same time, early 2000s. And then just recently, we picked up Acra last summer. So we've always worked closely with those guys from a shipping standpoint through PGMC. And so that relationship had been in place for multiple years and just kind of made sense for them to come on with us. Obviously, they offer a great product, really for a lot of aftermarket venues. And then Aerotech recently as well. we added on too. So steel fiber is huge from a graphite iron standpoint, both for men and women. So kind of putting that technology under the True Sports umbrella and kind of really giving our engineers, both Acra and Aerotech, to also play with from an R&D standpoint has been a lot of fun for the last, I guess, 8 months or so.
From a marketing communication standpoint, I'll try that again. From a marketing and communication standpoint, clearly that makes your job easier having 19 brands under the umbrella. In our last digital magazine, for those that don't know, if you're a forum member, meaning you have a screen name, you will get this sent to your email once a month. We had a thing on Acra Steel. Can you kind of explain that in short better than I did in that issue and why it's unique? Because you obviously have a lot of steel. I mean, I'm looking at a thing right above us that says American Steel.
Yeah, so Acra Steel was a concept that, Gavin Robertson kind of came to us with. So Acra came to us with after the acquisition. And, we'd kind of talked about, once they become part of True Sports, obviously they get our R&D and, we get the Acra brand. And so they were pumped up about making this steel shaft. He had this idea for a club fitter and something that really can thrive in the club fitting realm. And so that's where kind of I-Series steel, the idea came from. So obviously they have the graphite I-Series, which does really well for them.
Right.
And so from the steel side of things, they had this idea of, hey, we'll have 3 weights. So we have 105, 115, 125. And we want no kind of flex to be associated with this iron shaft. So we want to give the fitter control over this process. We don't want to have someone going into the fitting, with the stigma of, oh, I play this flex or I play that flex, so I can't play this shaft. And so we also added extra links on both sides of that set as well, to give the fitter even more control of hard stepping and soft stepping the set, how they see fit to best.
You're speaking the language of our forum members now when you get into tipping and hard stepping and soft stepping.
There you go. And that's it. So to best fit the person going in for that fitting, and then not to even mention the eco satin finish that it has on it too, which is cool. Yeah, so it's a one-of-a-kind finish. So obviously it kind of gives it this smoky look visually, but from an environmental standpoint, we get to save 10 gallons of water per shaft we make. So it's really environmental friendly.
Or does somebody else?
I'm sure it stays where it stays.
Our mutual friend Don Brown could probably use that in his state. So
I'm sure they could over in California right now. Of course, it's been raining in San Diego the past few weeks.
How weird! They probably get taxed for that.
He seems a little gloomy about it.
We're gonna jump in and take some questions before we come back to some of mine. Dex Jeter, you can read them on the screen. I don't have to read them to you. I think you can read. Pretty sure.
Sometimes. How do you go about recommending one of your shafts for an OEM stock offering? So I think that I see Dave Neville's coming on later today too.
We're going to do a live chat on the forum with him. He's one of the guys who actually helps choose those shafts.
He does. So whether it's Callaway, Tideless, TaylorMade, whomever, we kind of have meetings with them a year out in advance of their new launches that are going to be coming out. And so we put together presentations for them. Usually, what kind of players they're trying to hit. So if it's going to be a game improvement, if it's going to be more for player's iron. So we'll put presentations together for them of ideas we have, concepts we have, brands we have, and kind of some marketing we have behind those brands, either the demand in the marketplace for those brands at the moment, and the support that we can give them. And if they like an idea well enough, if they like a brand well enough, and they feel like it'll be a good partnership for their product, and they get it in and it tests well, that's kind of how it becomes a stock offering for a certain product.
This next question kind of segues from that, because it's so fitting with testing well and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to beat. I play it in my irons and wedges.
Well, then there you go.
Yeah, so I mean, if +7 plays it over here. But no, I remember when I got hired on, I was excited to kind of put every shaft through the ringer that True Temper and Project X had and see what shaft best fit my game. And after, a day of testing, it was dynamic gold. And it's like, that's what I was playing when I came into this. But
the job.
That's it. It's tough to beat, and it just fits so many swings. so well at that kind of that tour level speed, and really what they're looking for from a ball flight and control standpoint.
For those that have been reading the rumors, they're not true. They actually do have an actual robot. It's not Keenan.
That is true. Late 95.
I love that he leans forward to read it, which is the best.
I feel like an old person doing that. It's hey, I'm slowly aging, especially in this quarantine. So Elevate 95s are going to be really unique. So obviously it's a steel shaft, but very lightweight. So kind of in that lightweight realm. What's really cool about the Elevate series, if you're thinking about going to graphite, is that it has our VSS technology in it. So what that means is it's vibration suppression system, what it stands for, but that's kind of a mouthful. So you can just call it VSS. And it's vibration dampening. So that the insert in there actually kind of halts 71% of unwanted vibrations from contact. So if heel strike, toe strike, kind of that stinger you get sometimes that you don't really want to feel, that insert's going to help with that vibration from getting to your hand. So it almost gives you that graphite light characteristic there, while still keeping the consistency of steel. So it's, we always try to recommend steel if you can play it. But obviously we have graphite in our line.
Don's not listening, right?
Don would agree to. And he's going to agree with the next part of the statement. But there are, once you get to a certain kind of weight categories, that graphite, just the stuff you can do with the material, it doesn't really make sense for steel to go as light as you can with graphite. So you just lose too many characteristics.
This is an interesting one because one of the things I've always talked about with shafts and wedges is as you get to something that short, flex may not be the biggest determining factor because there's not a ton of flexing going on with a shaft that's that short. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree with that. And we actually just had a TT school video come out last night. I'm going to plug that real quick. About
tell people where they can find that.
You can find that on either any of our True Temper social channels, or just go to our YouTube for True Temper Golf.
There you go.
So we've done 4 or 5 of those now. So pretty informative, quick little minute and a half videos over certain topics. And one we recently did was about iron flex and wedge flex. And so there's not really a wrong answer on if you want to drop down a flex in your wedges. It's really just what you prefer from a feel standpoint. Because like you said, not too much flex is really going on from something necessarily that short. So it's about a 60-40 split on tour. About 60% of the guys drop down a flex, 40% stay the same flex throughout. So really from a feel standpoint, just what you kind of prefer. R&D floated over, not yet really. I'm sure maybe from the graphite side, maybe they do more than I think from a material standpoint. But as far as the hockey R&D side goes, I mean, we've been making hockey sticks for 20 years. So I'm sure in the beginning, kind of some of that floated back and forth, but right now they're pretty both self-sufficient. Well, if my girlfriend would tell you, if International Paper made it, for every tree they cut down, they plant 2. So,
do you tell her she's wrong?
Yeah,
that's probably, get that in now before you're married. Sorry, Morgan.
To get greener, it's kind
of a hard question to answer.
It is, especially with, steel shaft manufacturing. It's tough. It's any way we can get greener from that standpoint, we're looking at. The Eco Satin finish, we have, like I said, in our Acra series, we talked about maybe applying it to other shafts or having a different type of finish on certain shafts going forward to help with that. But that's something we're always looking at, and definitely an initiative that we find important and trying to accomplish. Yeah. So binary is a really cool set for us. So
how would you describe binary? If somebody said, here's 60 seconds, explain the set, how would you describe it?
So it's the first ever steel and graphite match set. So balance points match up, and you can choose where you want that split to be from a steel and a graphite standpoint. So once again, we always try to recommend people playing steel, especially in those scoring irons, just because how consistent it is. That's where you want that consistency. But if there's a point, if you're playing a sub 100 gram shaft, usually with the longer irons, you can struggle. So wherever that point is for you is where we would recommend that switch to graphite to be, just to get all the benefits of the help from the graphite side of things.
The questions are scrolling in, so I'm going to keep getting to them here. This is one we get a lot.
Okay, so X100 and X7 are actually the same step pattern. The only difference is X7 is 4 grams heavier, and it starts with a 610 butt diameter, so a wider butt diameter, and it tapers slower all the way down to 355. So that's how it gets its stiffness, its extra stiffness.
This is one from our friend Golf Unfiltered, and it's going to be one that is changing by the day, because we were talking before we got on the air. Nobody really knows what's next.
Yeah, no, it definitely has impacted some launches for us. We were supposed to have stuff out on tour already from a new steel perspective. So kind of a little tidbit, we're looking at releasing some new Project X steel parts this year. And we were supposed to have those on tour already kind of this month. So, and right now those are kind of up in the air on when tour seating is going to start, and when kind of final say in those products is going to be had, but definitely has been impacted in terms of launch.
Would you say, and I'm not going to put words in your mouth, I kind of am here, but would you say that part of that is because some are geared more towards the club fitting area and some are geared more towards all areas?
Definitely. So that's what we were trying to really kind of keep our brands in check. And we actually have a meeting next week about all our products and seeing how they kind of overlap with each other and work with each other. But obviously Acra and Aerotech to some extent both do really well in the aftermarket. And Project X and True Temper are kind of more for everybody, where you don't have to go exactly to obviously we recommend going to a fitter, but you don't have to necessarily go to a fitter to get your hands on those products.
So hard to say.
Yeah, so I mean, it was originally dynamic, and then when we weight sorted, it changed to dynamic gold. But ever since then, it's been same old dynamic gold. So the weight sorted part, and that was in the 70s, I think, was the last change.
I can tell you, I've been to a lot of manufacturing facilities. Golf balls, really, really cool. Club heads, really, really cool. Watching things get made at a small little foundry like Evolve Golf is really, really cool. The plant in Mississippi is freaking crazy.
It is. I mean, anytime I'm in front of PGA professionals or just any golf nut, I tell them, if you're ever, for whatever reason, around Denver, Mississippi, let us know, because it is a very cool tour to go on.
To answer this question, it goes by Keenan.
Yeah, come on. There you go.
I guess that'd be up to them, right?
Yeah, that's up to them. I mean, some have done it in certain products. If they have a black head, they like to usually do it, or if they want to stand out a little bit, they'll do it. But yeah, it's completely up to the OEM.
I would say that I can answer this question for Keenan and speak for him here and say it's 100% because of Don Brown.
That's it. It's once you know the name Don Brown is behind Project X, you're like, whoa. I'm
going to start an actual petition that says that he should have a signature line of shafts, because I think it needs to happen, and I'm being 100% serious.
It's gonna be the Scotty Cameron effect, but for Don Brown.
Well, except original. I'm kidding. I know that I'm going to get hate mail.
Oh, there we go.
Don has been. I mean, first of all, how many people have degrees in metallurgy? I thought that was like witchcraft, and he has been behind some of the most iconic designs in graphite shafts over the last multiple decades.
I know. Maybe 4%. Yeah. So
never heard this question before, right?
I know, right? Luckily, yeah. So for us, I can't speak for other shaft manufacturers, but for us, what we do is actually we don't water down our made for, so our shafts that go for OEM stock products. There's a couple ways you can make it different from an aftermarket shaft, and one method that some manufacturers use is actually changing up the shaft and changing up the materials to make it cheaper. What we do is just change our manufacturing process a little bit. So same materials, same specs. One just won't be. You'll just have our stock version, and then we have our aftermarket, which is our small batch version. So those get individually checked and individually ground to frequency. So just that spec's a little tighter there. It's going to be more consistent shaft to shaft, but materials and specs for us are exactly the same. So,
and to point on that, we were having this conversation on the forum the other day, and I know Don and I have talked about it quite a bit. You're never going to be the brand moving forward, or I don't think in the recent past anyway, that you'll just throw out a shaft with the same name, same everything, but it won't be the same shaft.
No, yeah, and that's something we take pride in, and I think our OEM partners respond well. You, not me.
And I have no problem. I've put it out there before. I don't struggle with the made for dynamic of a shaft. I understand it. I understand fitting the masses. I understand costs and everything else. I struggle with naming something exactly the same, calling it exactly the same, telling OEMs that are buying it that it's going to be in the catalog and then not doing that. And I'm open to have that conversation with them on this very stream anytime they'd like.
That's 100% it. And I mean, that's just not something we do as a company. And I think our OEM partners know that and respond well to it. And that's why we've had, over the past 2.5 years, a lot of graphite success. Except selling experience improved over the last years of dynamic gold. Yeah, so luckily with our manufacturing process, I mean, the tolerances on dynamic gold specifically, because that factory's made that shaft more times than I can even count, have always been super tight. So, and that's when we came out with the original dynamic gold. We obviously had our gold manufacturing process is kind of what we called it. And so the tolerances behind even a non-tour issue part are still really good for a steel shaft. And then obviously with tour issue, we just had that next level.
This one's interesting because you're going to play fitter right here.
Oh, that's
scary.
That is scary. Swing speeds have gone up. What would be the next logical step? Like to feel the graphite in the LZs. Like to feel the graphite. Let's see. I think Mizuno still offers the LZ graphite. We don't in our line. So next logical thing, if you like that feel, would just be going up a flex in that shaft. But if you can't find that for Mizuno anymore, Catalyst might be a little stiff in profile compared to the LZ. So I'd maybe look at something from our Acra range in an I series. That might be a little softer like the LZ was.
And bonus, you get a cool finish.
That's it. So hit the ball high, I guess, from a steel standpoint, if we're going to talk that. I mean, it's tough to say without seeing your swing, but definitely I'd go probably something heavier, something more tip stiff I'd look at. And I also don't know what you're playing right now already. So actually ask Mike Mike, if you can come back to us, what are you playing at the moment?
I believe he's playing Recoil Protos.
Okay. So, I mean, and does he want to stay in graphite, or is he good with going to steel? Or
well, let's give him something for both.
Okay. So, I mean, for graphite, I mean, Catalyst 100 is maybe the lowest launching 100-gram graphite iron shaft just about out there. That thing's pretty stout. I remember when we took it out to the Champions Tour a couple Octobers ago and gave it to Kenny Perry, who draws the crap out of the ball, and we told him to hit a few. And when he was struggling, kind of turning it over some, or as much as he likes to see it turn over. So I definitely look at Catalyst 100 there. Okay. And then if you want to go steel, I mean, that's going to be tough. If you want to stay in the 120 range, maybe don't want to go too heavy, then I'd look at either, Project X 60 or Dynamic Gold 120.
And a shout out to Mike. That baby is from just a couple of days ago.
Oh, congratulations,
He's sold,
Mike.
though.
Oh, as you should.
Yeah.
Good for you.
When we're talking about fitting and your different brands, and obviously I think it's safe to say at least one of your brands is going to be found in every fitter there is or close to it. How can somebody go in with the preconceived notion, I want to get fit for I-Series, and they can get fit into that? Or do you recommend, you personally, going in with a complete blank slate and deciding and let them decide what's best for you?
Oh, I always recommend going in, maybe not with a blank slate, but with an open mind at least. Like you can maybe do some research before and say, hey, I might want to try this, but obviously have an open mind to other things and kind of let the fitter determine what and what path you should go on. But I mean, definitely you have those people, and I fit those people that want to play this, want to play this, want to play this, and you have them hit other things and they hit other things better. But at the end of the day, it's what they want. And if they want to swing Project X 6.5 and they need to be playing, Elevate 95, well, you can only try to help them so much. But definitely I'd recommend going in with an open mind.
This is a very hot topic right now with putter shafts. I know you guys manufacture some of the most popular putter shafts on the market. I'd probably say all of them. A lot of people don't realize that, but anything that's going to be marketed as one of your brands?
So we just came out with, and it's kind of poor timing, 2 months ago or so, what we call FE 150. So the code name, so it's 150 gram putter shaft.
Oh, that's not a truck?
The code name FE, I wanted to call it Fat Elvis. I wanted to just cherish the Memphis roots.
Shocking you didn't win that one.
The Memphis roots of Fat Elvis, but so FE 150, and so it's our heavier putter option. It's really stout throughout, so it can be found on GolfWorks right now. So that's kind of the newest thing we've done as far as selling putter shafts, would be that kind of really stable 150 gram putter shaft option. I'm a Cowboys fan.
I mean, he's from Texas.
I know. I cringe saying it. I'm a Cowboy
guy.
I'm not even I'm a Cowboys fan. I don't know. We're gonna go 8-8, so it doesn't matter who we take.
Quincy Carter making a comeback.
There we go. I've accepted our fate. I'd go with the cornerback or something though.
If you say Texas brisket, I'm hanging up the call right now.
No. I'll play by the rules with the question here. What's my order? I will go. I'll go rack of ribs, half and half dry, half wet. We'll go baked beans and potato salad and top it off with some fried pie for dessert.
And if you're at commissary, you have to start with the chips and dip.
Yeah, you got to go chips and dip and the sausage and cheese plate there. Yeah.
Yeah. So if commissary is where your old office. Yeah.
Yep.
You're in the new one now. Well, you're at home now, but the new office will be. The old office was right by this barbecue place called the Commissary, which to my wife, who may or may not be paying attention, is still her favorite barbecue she's ever had in the entire country.
Yeah.
We're going to have to make a trip up to Memphis just for that. But I don't think they're open right now.
They probably are not. You explain the difference. Acro putter shaft options. So
that's I know you on the spot.
I know they have putter shaft options. No, but no. So the ones that I know they have, the big difference there is flex. So I know they have a M1, M2, M3, M4 flex. So just depending how stiff you want that putter shaft to feel, would be kind of their big differences. And at least the ones I'm thinking of would be flex. So just a feel standpoint.
Respond to this one personally. Yes, Pappy's in St. Louis is exceptional, but Commissary to me and Morgan was both better. There's a place in Nashville that can give it a run for the money, and no place in Texas has given it a run for the money.
Come on, you're hurting me there. Let's get some Texas questions going, people. Anyone want to talk about Whataburger? We can talk about Whataburger.
First of all, you're saying Whataburger like you're from Philadelphia.
Whataburger. That's
or Australia.
That was bad. I'm embarrassed. Flex matters for putter feel only. So feel's a big part of it, and then depending on how much you believe in the kind of face changing or during the putter stroke, kind of keeping that face consistent, not too open, not too closed, keeping it on line, creating the proper amount of loft. And keeping that loft through the stroke.
I'm going to make him bust each time. Morgan is paying attention because she's
there. We go, Morgan.
It's solid.
So good.
Somebody asked which is the barbecue place near the train track. I'm blanking on it. Would that be Central?
Well, the thing is, the train track runs throughout the whole city. There is a Central near the train tracks. There is
Rendezvous
cool.
is downtown, but that's not near the train track.
Downtown. So that one wouldn't be it. There's Central, there's Corky's, that's near a train track, and Commissary is also near the train tracks.
So yes, it's definitely near the train track.
Yeah. Commissary is the one that's probably closest to the tracks, and that's the one in Germantown, if that helps.
That's going to wrap us up. We want to thank Keenan for coming on. We're going to have to do this again, obviously, but people want to know what they can win. So I'm going to share this with them now, which is I have 2 True Temper hats behind both, not the Captain America. I put that out because that's what we're going to call Keenan from now on, is Captain America. We got to change the way that Patrick Reed has called that. It's going to be Keenan. We have 2 True Temper hats with the American flag on them. It seems appropriate. And I also have a brand new wedge with a tour issue shaft. We're going to give away all that. You are going to do one of 2 things. You're going to go on Twitter and you're going to follow Keenan. Give them your Twitter handle.
At KP_TT.
At KP_TT. And you're going to tweet to him.
Oh, boy.
Are we still there? Yes, we are.
There we go.
And the other way is to leave a comment doing the exact same thing under this video on Facebook or YouTube, either one, just explaining why Keenan should be called Captain America. And we're going to randomly choose somebody to win the hats and the wedge. We'll give away 3 different people and we'll ship those out to people. But remember, you got to follow Keenan and you got to explain why he should be called Captain America, because he should be. I mean, American Steel, we can see it right there at the top of the screen. You work for American Steel.
I do.
And you're wearing a rope hat. So
and
I mean, it all
more American than a rope hat. I think that's
a lot of things, actually. But
there you go.
Neither here nor there. But we're going to have to come back and do this again. We want to thank everybody who's following along. If your question didn't get answered, we are going to ask you to post it in the forum thread. I'll either answer it or I'll send a link or a question to Keenan for him to answer it. We will come back maybe next week or the week after.
And then we have Big Texas pastries real quick. Yes, they are amazing. I'm sure they cure COVID, but they also might give you diabetes. But they're amazing.
Okay, there you go, Golf Unfiltered. I swear by them at the PGA show. You basically live on them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yes.
We'll see if there's a PGA show this year. Who knows? But again, make sure you enter the contest. Make sure you're following Keenan on Twitter and or other places. I'm sure he's there. He's new to social media. Which is
I am. I'm a month and a half into Twitter. I'm finally learning it.
But maybe we can get him to come back next week or the week after. We'll answer the rest of your questions. We'll do the speed round, which is all about food. I'm sure he'll get those wrong. And we will have a whole lot of fun. So for myself and Keenan, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Goodbye.
Thanks, everyone.